So my name's Finlay Asher. I'm an aerospace engineer and I'm part of a community group called Safe Landing. We're a group for aviation workers that are concerned about climate and we're concerned about the growth plans of our industry. We've got pilots, cabin crew, air traffic controllers. I'm an aircraft engineer with lots of experience designing future technology. What I really want to address here is just, I've been listening to a lot of the different representations that were given today. There's a bit of a divide between a lot of people that are really concerned about the environment and others that see the economic benefit of growth. And there's this kind of assumption that bigger airports, more flights equals more jobs, and that's good for aviation workers. I'm here to kind of present a bit of a middle ground view on that. Obviously, I think this assumption that more growth is good for workers is true in the short term, but what we're really concerned about is a climate crash, similar to what we saw during COVID. That was caused by a pandemic. Many people have talked about the impacts on the region during that period of time when there was a sudden enforced limits on how much we could fly. We're really concerned that we're heading towards another crash, a climate crash, where we expand outwith our means. We increase the capacity of airports and airlines, and then we're left with an overcapacity where we realise science says we need to fly less, not stop flying completely, but moderate how much we fly. Now, if we've spent this decade spending lots of money and all of our time and resource on business as usual expansion, we could be left with a big overcapacity that will then mean we can't get that return on investment that we were expecting. This massive projected demand of flying cannot materialise. That will be a really bad investment decision for investors. We won't get the return we're expecting, and it'll be workers that bear the brunt of that. We've seen the way aviation companies operate, the way that they're willing to put workers on the scrap heap immediately, basically bury our heads in the sand, and then as soon as disaster strikes, there's nothing we can do. We need to let go of thousands of workers and they can fend for themselves. So that's really what we're worried about. Now, I wanted to kind of talk about, I think a lot of people don't see this crash coming, and I kind of want to illustrate two examples, kind of physics and economics of why that's going to happen. Now, we know that we have a carbon budget, and this is a certain amount of carbon we can put into the atmosphere before we've got dangerous runaway global warming. The government is committed to carbon budgets every 5 years. Now, at the moment, international aviation emissions are not included, but they're committed to be included by the mid-2030s. When that happens, there will be no wiggle room. We're behind on progress in every other sector. There won't be additional for aviation. We will have to limit how much we fly. The second is economic. Currently, the sector is greatly underpriced. All of the solutions put forward by government and by industry are massively expensive. At the moment, we're kind of fooling ourselves about how expensive it's going to get. Fundamentally, alternative fuels, negative emissions, they're massively expensive. At the moment, we carbon offset, and it's a few dollars per ton of CO2. In the future, it's going to be multiple hundreds of dollars. That's going to mean a massive increase in the cost of flying, and it's going to massively increase these demand projections as well. So we've got limits from a carbon budget, but we've also got a massively changing economic situation as well. Now, I was working on this technology. I was working on more efficient aircraft. They are getting much more difficult to improve. While I've worked for Rolls-Royce, I asked lots of questions about alternative fuels as well. They are just simply not going to be ready on the scale required in the times required. In the next 10 years, we might have 5% of this alternative fuel. It's mostly animal fat, waste oil, and it doesn't provide a big emissions reduction. So we're going to have to be focused on flying less. Now, there is part of the strategy. We talk about zero emissions aircraft, electric and hydrogen aircraft. This is the way to flying in a way that's cleaner, greener, and genuine sustainable future of air travel. But these aircraft are very different. They're going to be fundamentally a different size, shape, different range, different number of passengers. Just for example, probably more like 50 passengers compared to 200 passengers in an aircraft that Gatwick's currently planning for. Now, if we genuinely planned for a future of zero emissions aircraft, we'd be planning a completely different runway and infrastructure, terminal and gate layout in the airport. If those plans were presented by Gatwick, we would be in favour of expansion, and that's what we'd like to see. But at the moment, we oppose it on the grounds of business as usual expansion